the much anticipated debut of Fight Island UFC 251, 3 title fights, a huge card that has come and it has gone, and with it, it brought a lot of excitement, a lot of entertainment, but also we could say a decent chunk of disappointment with it as well. But I'm your host, Ross Allen. I'm joined alongside fourth and log UFC correspondent Blake Campbell.
Yo,
And
what's
this
happening?
is our UFC 251 breakdown. So let's get into things, Blake. Prelims. They weren't bad. They were prelims, but there was a couple people that did stand out. Let me hear your takes on this one.
I think that there were moments that impressed, but it was definitely a little bit of a lull in it. Man, it seemed like it took forever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like starting off with the Davy Grant Martin Day fight. I mean, what a vicious KO by Davy Grant. I mean, that's something. Another bantamweight. I mean, goodness, how many studs are in the bantamweight division right now? It's ridiculous, right?
Be either the ranked guys, but even the unranked ones. There's just more and more and more contenders. The bantamweights are probably in the best place they've been in arguably promotion history.
I think easily, dude. The bantamweights and the featherweights right now are probably two of my favorite divisions in the whole UFC, just because of how deep they are.
That whole class right there, the bantamweights, the featherweights, and the lightweights, all three of those
studs
weights are filled with contenders. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely. But I mean,
we got Davy Grant with that knockout, snagging performance of the night, which is crazy. Before this, we were just going with the fighter salaries reported by who?
So I was on thesportsrush.com.
Okay. So according to thesportsrush.com, Davy Grant, he made $14,000 for this fight. So that performance to any of these people on the early prelims or the prelims, making an extra $50K on top of your $14K, man, that is huge for the fighter.
$14K plus $14K though, remember, so that's $28K. Oh, yeah,
with the plus. But so you had a bonus almost double your actual fight purse.
Right.
Damn. Good for him. Quit his day job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it's there for, you know. Mm-hmm. Now he can fully invest in himself and in his coaches and his training. Mm-hmm. Take him to the next level, hopefully.
Now let's talk about the Makwan Americani and Danny Henry fight with this one.
Oh, you're gonna skip over my two favorite fights?
Yeah, I know, just to spite you.
Come on, dude. I want to talk about Bogatov and how he doesn't know how to follow the rules. Can we just talk about how that was the most frustrating fight to watch for like just the third round?
How many times did they stop that fight?
Three times, because I think this is the one that it was either you or Jalen were in the bathroom. And I was like, bro, are you guys watching this right now? And he's like, no, I'm in the bathroom, but it sounds frustrating. And I was like, dude, you have no idea how frustrating this freaking fight is. I just want it to end already. Mm-hmm. 2 nut shots, and then he just knees the guy straight in the head when he's clearly a downed opponent. It was just dumb.
It was embarrassing, bro. That's all I could say. That was just, it hurt to watch.
Was it Mark Goddard? I think Mark Goddard was the ref, and he was just like, in his little British accent, like, come on, dude. I can't do a British. I'm not going to try.
Well, Mark
He's like, come on, dude. Seriously?
Mark Goddard was phenomenal on Saturday night, not only for this one, but also in the main event with Kamaru Usman and Jorge, where he was trying to like break them up, and he was acting like a dad with two little brothers that were fighting each other. Mark Goddard is a real MVP, folks. Let's talk about that goat. All right.
Oh, man.
Okay. But you also want to talk about this Makwan one. Let's just skip past the embarrassment of Bogatov when it comes to the rule books.
Yeah, Amir Khani with a smooth anaconda choke. Mm-hmm. And, there's really not much else to say. I mean, he took on a guy that I believe it was his debut coming into the UFC with a decently impressive record, 12-4. He just needed to get another win out there, right? Makwan, he had a long, well, not that long of a layoff, but his last fight, I do believe it was against Shane Burgos, who, as we know, Josh Emmett just KO'd recently.
Shout out to Josh Emmett, ladies and gentlemen.
Shout out
Josh Emmett. We had him
Or
on the
he
show.
didn't KO him. I'm sorry. He didn't
Phenomenal
KO him.
interview. If you haven't checked out, you should go check that out. Once we're done with the show, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else you get your podcast from.
I keep thinking Josh KO'd him, but he didn't KO him. No. He just hit him so damn hard.
Yeah, he just embarrassed him on one leg.
But no, yeah, exactly. Makwan Amirkhani, I mean, there's really not much else to say about this fight besides just how smooth he looked. I mean, the guy, you can tell he's levels above, guys that are making their debuts and guys that are new to this level. It's just not fair to put him out there against guys like that. He's just that slick.
He's not the guy that he's unranked, but he's really right there in terms of the top 15 conversation.
Dude, I think he's only lost like once or twice in the UFC, and he's beaten some really impressive guys.
So Henry, he got kind of the short end of the stick having to go against this guy in his promotional debut. But hey, it's the UFC. You're going to get fed to the snakes constantly, and you can't really expect like a gimme fight unless you're Sean O'Malley or one of those.
Hey, whoa. Leave Sean out of this.
No, I had to. But let's finish up the prelims, though. We had former number 7 light heavyweight contender Volkan Ozdemir taking on Yuri Prochazka. There we go. And Yuri instantly put himself into the contenders, into the top, at least the top 15, hell, maybe even the top 10.
He's got to be top 10 now.
Phenomenal.
He'll probably be fringe number 10.
Has to be. Phenomenal KO, 49 seconds into the second round. This was a highlight reel KO that was gifted and just clipped all over Twitter with everyone reacting. It even made the trending page. So this guy, he just put in one punch, he elevated his career for a big, like he probably skipped a few fights when it comes to like a jump in the rankings. Being honest.
He's skipping a few places in line, I'd say, by winning that fight in such an impressive manner.
Mm-hmm.
That goes without saying pretty much, really. I mean, it's not the deepest division either, especially with the belt kind of being put in limbo, with the champion kind of not saying what he's going to be doing in the near future. So that's huge for him. I mean, that's huge for him. And another thing too is he came out unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
He took a couple big shots from Volkan, but I mean, I don't think he broke anything or did anything, too damaging to himself. So he should be able to get back in there relatively soon and put in another performance, hopefully.
Exactly. So good for him.
What did you think about him though? Do you think he looks like he belongs in the top 10 already, or that's
kind of tough because we got about 6 minutes of fight time with him.
Right.
For me, I haven't seen this guy fight before.
But that first round gave you a lot to judge.
That first round was
wild.
I can't say if I'm completely sold that he's a top 10, but I would like to see him if he's not placed in the top 10. I would like to see him against another top 10 opponent, and if you could beat that, then yeah, he's for real, and I'll be sold on him.
Who would you like to see him fight next then, if you were the matchmakers?
Dude, if I would,
you want to pull up the top 10 list real quick?
I already got that. I would put him up against probably, I know it's not top 10, maybe Johnny Walker, or if we're talking top 10, maybe Nikita
Johnny
Krylov.
Walker would be a fun fight.
Right? You like that? I would say.
But I don't think Johnny Walker's team would not want that fight.
They wouldn't want that fight, but I'd put him against Johnny Walker or Nikita Krylov. Right there in the number 10 spot. I
wouldn't mind that
good
Krylov
ones
fight.
for him.
Yeah. There's options.
Oh, there's options to this game. There's levels to this game, as we all know. Uncle Chael, shout out. So the prelims, that was one hell of a way to cap the prelims. But let's move on into the main card, which did draw. They released this number today. 1.3 million pay-per-view buys, and I guarantee that if Masvidal was not on this card, it probably wouldn't have. It probably would have broke a million, but it would not.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You thought an 800K maybe 900K?
I think it would have been in the 600 to 800K. I think
Masvidal is that big of a draw. I think with these numbers though, no matter what, Masvidal has cemented himself as a draw, as one of the top moneymakers on the UFC hierarchy, but we'll get to that fight in a second. Let's talk about this first one with Amanda Ribas against Paige Van Zandt in. Oh boy, I don't want to say I told you so, but it wasn't just me that told you so. We all told you so. This fight was not a match.
We unanimously agreed.
This wasn't even close, man. 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the first round.
Hey, but you know what? I will say this. I was wrong in one sense.
Okay.
I thought Amanda was going to just beat the shit out of her in the face.
Well, the crazy thing, though, is that to Paige's credit, she didn't bleed. It was just Amanda's nose that was bleeding somehow.
Yeah, but I don't know how that happened. But I mean, maybe she got her with a jab. I don't know.
I feel like
it all happened so fast.
Up on the ground or something, right? It was just a blur.
It all happened so fast.
It was like they were standing up and then they were on the ground and then Paige Van Zandt's tapping and she's looking embarrassed.
Okay. In an armbar with her arm she broke 5,000 times last year.
Right. I'm surprised she didn't tap quicker, to be honest. So good on the surgeon that repaired her. But after this fight, Dana White said that we were already talking about Paige Van Zandt wanting to test for agency, and Dana White said, yeah, go ahead, you should test for agency. So
now, from the same site we were looking at, we were discussing this earlier.
Yep.
Paige Van Zandt got 60 G's, 60,000 to take that L.
Yeah. Man, if
she put in, 2.5 minutes of work, maybe?
Hey, so if I could get paid $1K and get submitted in 2 minutes and 20 seconds, yeah, I'll take that.
Dude, 60,000 for 2.5 minutes, man. That's crazy.
Sign me up, man. Sign me up. That's crazy, especially in the terms of like everyone that on the early prelims or prelims, like 90% of them, 12 to 14K.
Right.
Just ridiculous, man. But Ribas definitely going to be making some. This was her one-off in the flyweight division, but she's. It's hard because she looks good and she dominated the fight, but also it was against amazing talent, so she's probably not going to be like skyrocketing up the rankings, but she did look good though. We have to give her, we can't just like destroy Paige. We have to give Ribas credit here as well.
I mean, I think it would be smart for Ribas to stay at flyweight. I mean, why not? I mean, you got a much deeper division at strawweight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the path to the title is so much tougher there. I mean, you got Gedalia, you got Andrade and Namajunas, you got Zhang Weili, you got Joanna. I mean, and there's so many, Tatiana Suarez, like there's so many people I'm leaving out even.
Hey, stay at the flyweight. Easier title picture right there. Less fights you have to win. Less killers you have to go against. And easier weight cut.
Absolutely. I think, the fact that it's just not as deep of a division, it just goes, in her favor.
It's not like we're saying to avoid good competition. There's a little bit to that, but there's also a point where you just want to avoid killers. Where if you don't have to fight them to get to a championship opportunity, why should you?
Dude, if you can get to if you can get to a title, either like the path with least resistance, I would say, is probably the route that most people would choose.
Especially in a sport where you never know which fight's going to be your last one. No one should discredit you if you take the, quote, easier road.
Yeah, and I mean, is it even going to be easier once you get to that Valentino fight? Who knows?
Hell no.
I just think
least it'll
that
be easier
Amanda
to get to that fight.
Exactly, and I think Amanda has the. I think she is attractive. I think she is well spoken for someone whose first language is obviously not English. I would say.
Hey, she had a lot of energy in that post-fight interview.
That laugh is a little crazy.
Fans.
Laugh is a little crazy, but
a little bit.
that can settle down. And she's also a badass. I mean, she beat the crap out of Dern. She beat the crap out of Marcos, and she just submitted Van Zandt in under 2.5 minutes. She has star power. Yeah. So, I mean, build her up a little bit. Put her in a division that's not got as many sharks in it. You know.
That's a good point. Keep her at the flyweight division. But
that's just my take, though.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of credit to that take, Blake. But we were talking about that strawweight division with killers, and we put names like Andrade and Rose Namajunas, and we had their rematch on this one, and it didn't disappoint because it did get fight of the night honors, and it was a really close fight. It looked like my opinion on this one. It was a 29-28 fight with Rose taking the first two. but then she kind of tired out in that third, and Andrade took that, but it was just too little, too late. If this was another 5-round fight, Andrade probably would have had this one.
Well, but then again, we gotta remember that they're specifically training for 3-round fights.
So they're specifically trained. Correct.
So I think that there would have been a little bit different game plan from Namajunas going into that if it was a 5-round fight.
Yeah. What about this? So did this
live up to expectations? I'm kind of almost in the same camp with you, dude. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm kind of almost in the same camp as you. I really do. I wouldn't mind seeing another 5-round fight against these women because they freaking throw down every time they get in there. No one shies away. And you're right. I mean, come like halfway through the second round or so, Andrade really started to turn it on. She really started to, like, that head movement. You could tell the whole fight that was really starting to mess with Rose. Rose kind of got through it, towards the end of the first. She started busting her up in the second a little bit. But then Andrade, I mean, she just found her way in there and started really putting a hurting on Rose. I mean, her eye was pretty much completely shut at the end of the fight.
Yeah.
So she would have been completely compromised going into rounds 4 and 5.
I would love to see them fight again. Not now, though. Rose is likely going to move from 2 to 1. And I put Rose against Jane Whaley for the Women's Strawweight Championship fight. And then you can have Andrade waiting in the wings. Or you can throw Andrade into Suarez and have them fight for the number 1 contender spot and the winner of Namajunas and Whaley.
I like that idea.
That's where I would go with this division. Obviously, there's a lot of great fights you could put together, but if we're talking number 1 contender and title fight, that's my next pick right there.
Whaley specifically has been calling out Namajunas. She thinks Namajunas is the biggest challenge in her division and is like the most well-rounded, complete skill set fighter in her division.
That'd be a phenomenal fight.
That would be crazy. I think Whaley might take that one too, though.
Who knows?
She's a stud.
It kind of depends on which Rose we get, though. To be honest, because Rose has her peaks, she has her valleys, but when she's on, she is on.
What's crazy is Rose doesn't look like she should have that knockout power, especially for like a woman. But man, she throws so hard.
You all know what it is? It's the buzz cut. The buzz cut gives her like +10 power.
Something, man.
It's not okay. But a phenomenal fight from the two. But that's where I want to go. If we're talking
well deserving of fight of the night.
Well deserving. Easily the best fight of the night. And
it was between that and Jan and Aldo coming up next.
Yeah, exactly. So the first title fight of the night was for the vacant bantamweight title ever since.
You say vacant?
Yeah, I did say bacon.
You're getting me hungry again, bro.
You're fat. But ever since the King of Grid, Triple C, bend the knee, Henry Cejudo relinquished his title at UFC 249. This has been vacant, and this was a fight that a lot of people, it was a little controversial because people didn't like Jose being in the title picture this soon, but I made the defense, and you also kind of agree with me that you put a legend in this fight. It's not a bad matchup, and it's going to be a good fight as well. And it was. Too bad for Jose because he did not look the best in this. He landed or at least up into the 5th, he looked bad. But the first 3 rounds, he actually looked really good. He landed I think he landed a career record of shots in this fight, which is phenomenal when he's this late in his career. But Petr Yan, man, he's just cemented himself as the baddest bantamweight in the world with his beatdown in the 5th round, with Jose Aldo painting the canvas with his blood.
Jeez, that was a little vicious, man.
It was, dude. It was a bad look. There was a lot of blood on the canvas, if you didn't notice. It was pulling up.
Yeah, I was pretty displeased, to say the least, with the referee's inability to stop the fight when it should have been stopped.
Let's talk about that real quick before we get your full take. Was it a late stoppage?
Absolutely. I think it was a late stoppage. I think it could have been stopped 30 seconds, if more than that, like maybe a minute before.
Okay.
I think right when that leg kick hit him and he just slammed it, was just slamming him on the ground and he was turtled up. Dude, why are you letting him take? I mean, I get he's a champion and he wants to go out on his shield, but when the guy is just sitting there turtled up like that, like not even moving, like in Dom's defense, like let's compare it to Dom and Henry. Dom was getting up. He was getting up. He was still getting his ass beat, but he was at least trying to get up.
Exactly.
Whereas Aldo, he was literally turtled up. I mean, arms were on his head. Head was buried into his chest.
But he wasn't intelligently defending himself. There is a difference between those two things.
Yeah. I mean, he was covering up is all he was doing. He wasn't trying to actively get himself out of that situation. He was trapped.
He wasn't going to win that fight. It was obvious.
No.
But let me give my 2 cents in this real quick. It was a late stoppage. I'll preface it with that. It was a late stoppage. But it's hard. That was a hard position for the ref to be in. I could empathize with him real quick because you said, yeah, he's a former champion, legend, and you want to give him all the opportunities in the world to be able to come back somehow. And it was hard because he'd take a barrage, then he'd move, roll into like past guard or something like that, take a barrage, move. So, although it was a late stoppage and it could have been stopped sooner, if he did stop it sooner, there still would have been a decent amount of people calling it early stoppage, I believe. And it's just, that's why I just want to say that being the ref is one of the hardest things to do in the sport because no matter what, it's like a lose-lose situation in stuff like this.
Yeah, it's definitely I do not envy his position in that sense.
Not at all.
And I'm not saying like I was Ariel Helwani mode, like up in arms, but
no.
It did make like this was the first one compared to all the other like late stoppages and stuff like that. Like I like Jose Aldo, bro. This was the first one that really made me get up and I actually yelled at my TV. I was like, dude, I literally screamed. I said, stop the fucking fight.
Thanks for the sense. I was cringing over the last couple of projects. I was cringing. But the fight as a whole, what do you think about it?
It was a sick fight. Round 1, Jan comes out. He's blazing. Round 2, the leg kicks start becoming a factor with Aldo. Round 3, they're really going back and forth, but Jan's starting to pull away again. Round 4, you can really start to see maybe the cardio of Aldo at bantamweight just drops a little bit faster than what he's used to, you know? Maybe it depletes a little bit more. And then round 5, Jan just put it on him and just finished him. So it was a really entertaining fight. I mean, it was back and forth for the first 3 rounds, and then Jan just kind of took it over. But Aldo still looks good, man.
He can still fight. I don't know if he retires yet. I think he still has a couple of fights left in him.
Just depends what he wants, really.
Yeah. It's up
to
him.
Does he want to be a journeyman? Does he want to like still go in there and potentially lose here and there and get finished like that?
Yeah, good point. It's hard because he can still go. And so, like, if he doesn't retire now and still fights, I could see him doing that. But then also, if he retires now and just calls it a career, no one's going to argue that. No one's going to disagree with him. He's a future Hall of Famer. And he deserves a phenomenal retirement.
Yeah, he's no doubt about it in the Hall of Fame.
This doesn't hurt.
Probably one of the most important, like, I'm not trying to be a douche, but like little guy, you know, for the guys that are in the smaller weight classes, him, Uriah Faber, Dom Cruz, like those are the pioneers, really. Like, who else? Man, I can't remember the other guy's name. I want to say it was Miller or something like that. But like, there's just a few of those guys that have just been around forever, and all those still only 33.
Right.
That's the craziest thing to me.
He's been around the game so long, it just feels like he's like in his 40s by now. He can still go, but also, man, legend, beast of the sport. But Piotr Jan is for real. What was kind of almost disheartening, though, is after in their post-card press conference, so a reporter asked Dana White if Aljo is going to be the guy that takes on Piotr Jan now. And Dana White was a little hesitant to say yes. He didn't say yes. He was just like, I don't know. He said, I don't know. So that worries me a little bit. The fight to make is Aljo and Jan. But with Dana being a little hesitant like that, who knows?
Yeah, you know Dana, he always likes to beat around the bush. But if people bitch about it enough, you know, he always makes it happen. So it's really just up to the people to just bitch about it enough.
So
if everyone really wants it to happen, just bitch.
Just bitch. So you heard it here, everyone. Go to UFC's Twitter, go to the replies, and just start bitching.
Just bitch, bro.
At Dana
Whatever
White,
you want.
at Sean Shelby if he has a Twitter, at UFC. Just start bitching. Dude, but if we want to talk about people bitching in the replies of every single UFC tweet that night, Sunday night, and now Monday night, let's talk about the featherweight title bout with Volkanovski Holloway 2. Uh-oh.
I thought someone was supposed to finish someone in this fight.
What happened to Alexander Volkanovski saying, I'm going to finish this guy. I'm going to cement my legacy as a champion.
So ironic.
So instead of going out and cementing your legacy and finishing the greatest featherweight of all time, you go and have a super controversial split decision win over this. Oh no. My take on this before we get into it, Alexander Volkanovski would have, perception-wise and image-wise, would have been better to lose this fight than to have the instead split decision controversial win.
Man.
Take a minute.
I cannot believe that Holloway got robbed like he did.
Oh, no.
Literally, whatever you just said, I don't care. Because all I got to say, how in the world are they doing this young man like that?
Mm-hmm.
This young man that is just such a stand-up human being.
Great guy.
Drops him in the freaking first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here we go. This is my take on it.
Let's go.
We
Blake.
can argue.
Give it to me.
Round 1, round 2, decisive Max Holloway victories.
Mm-hmm.
He drops his ass round 1, drops his ass round 2. Round 3, super close. I couldn't decide. I really couldn't decide. I think the numbers were on Volkanovski's side, just barely, like squeaky barely. And then 4th and 5th, Volkanovski won. I think he mixed it up a little bit better. But in 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, every single round, Max Holloway was up in his face, backing him down. He was the one controlling where the fight was taking place, really, up until about the 4th and 5th round. That's when Volkanovski really started trying to mix in some takedowns, I'd say. But it's just like, maybe I don't fully understand the rules, or, I mean, even the guy that wrote the rules, John McCarthy, is saying that Holloway won the fight. So I'm really just not understanding what
John
these referees
McCarthy
are saying.
says Holloway won the fight, then he won the fight. Straight up.
And to everyone, that thinks that Volkanovski won, I don't see how Volkanovski won that fight at all. He didn't have one moment in that fight where it made me say, damn, you know what? No. He's doing enough to win this thing. Whereas Max, there were 2 times where I was like, holy, he could finish this right here.
Yeah.
I had me on the edge of my seat.
Now, this fight was almost a flip of what happened in their first one, where we had, at least, let's not talk in terms of procession, but in terms of what happened. Just real quick, because Holloway won first 2, and then Volkanovski, according to the judges, or at least 2 of the 3, won the next 3. And that's exactly the opposite of what happened in the first fight. We had Holloway coming on, we had Holloway kind of finishing strong, but starting off awfully. It was kind of weird to see that flip. But here, Blake, I'm gonna give you this, okay? We were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, and this is my take on what happened that night. Max Holloway won this fight. He absolutely won this fight. But unlike most people, and I'm going to agree, Ben Askren's on my side right here, I am not going to call it a robbery, because that 3rd round is what ultimately decided this fight. And why I say it's not a robbery is that neither guy decisively won that round. If Holloway decisively won round 3, then I'll call it a robbery. If Volkanovski decisively won round 3, then I'd be okay saying Volkanovski won this. But with neither man decisively winning this round, with Holloway winning the round though, but with neither man decisively winning that key round, I am reluctant to call it a robbery.
I think you're so wrong.
Okay.
You're just lying through your teeth.
Just lying through my teeth?
I'm just kidding. No, it's tough, man, because everyone wanted a decisive victory in this fight. Like, we wanted it to be like, okay, Max is the man. He deserved to win that first fight. Or, Volkanovski, this really solidifies his title reign, and now let's go on to the next contender. And it just sucks that we don't really get that clear, kind of closure.
Does that mean, even though Volkanovski is on, according to legit records, he's 2-0 in this series between the two, but do we have to go to a immediate trilogy?
I see, that's the thing that everyone's been asking today, and man, It's tough. I mean, if I'm Holloway, hell yeah, I want that immediate trilogy. But if you're the UFC, maybe even if you're Volkanovski, I don't know what he's thinking.
If I'm Volkanovski, I just want.
If you're every other featherweight in that division, you're like, dude, come on.
Well, we're talking about this. The biggest fear for a featherweight going to this fight was a trilogy, and there's still an opportunity for a trilogy.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's bad for these guys. I think the way to go with this is we don't give the immediate trilogy. We keep Max super high up in the rankings. Maybe keep him in number 2 or something. But we're going to have top 4 right now is Holloway, Zabit, Mago Med Sharapov. Thank you. And then Brian Ortega and Chan Sung Jung. But those two are going to be fighting soon. And so you want to just throw Holloway against Zabit for the number 1 contender spot? And
what's
that
one more time?
Holloway versus Zabit for the number 1 contender. So
versus
Max doesn't get the immediate title rematch, but he's still in number 1 contender fight.
So you're saying put Volkanovski on ice right now, or who are you saying would fight Volkanovski?
Throw Yair Rodriguez into the mix.
Because I'm pretty sure Ortega is pushing really hard for the Korean Zombie.
Yeah, that fight hasn't been announced, but it's going to happen.
That would be, I think, for the title. Excuse me, for the title fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be, that'd be the number 1 contender fight, and the winner of that fights for the title.
It probably not likely, but number 6 Calvin Kattar and number 10 Dan Ige are taking each other on Wednesday, and it's not out of the realm of possibilities of them getting a shot. The winner of that.
That's a little far. Though,
I say it's a stretch, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
There would have to be like just a masterclass performance by. I think Kattar is the only one that could possibly, because I mean Ige barely won his last fight. There's people that are saying Barboza beat him.
If Kattar destroys Ige, you can make the statement for Kattar to get that title fight.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, but the thing is he's fighting a guy that's ranked under him.
Yeah.
So people expect him to beat this guy. So I just don't really see that happening. Yes, I mean they're both exciting guys, so anything could happen. And especially since, but it's just like none of the top featherweights are fighting right now, dude. So everyone that's a featherweight is ready.
Josh Emmett wasn't. If he didn't just get surgery, he'd be fighting Volkanovski for the title.
I know. Dude. I was just thinking that today. That'd be such a good fight.
Josh called him out already. He said once he's healthy, he's fighting for that title.
Yeah, he said in March. I saw that. It's like, damn, that's so far away, Josh.
Hey, he's still a beast though for that.
Oh yeah, that's funny. I think he did that kind of like half serious, full serious, but kind of half jokingly too. You know.
Hey, honestly, it could very well happen. I kind of hope so. But let's just to sum that fight up though. Trash, bad, awful. All the way around, and there's no defending the judges for that. Holloway won that fight 3 rounds to 2. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. That's what happened. Okay? Done.
Agreed.
And let's cleanse our palate from that with one of the biggest disappointments of the year.
See,
what was rough is that this card was great for at least UFC, for the fans, up until the last 2 fights. The last 2 fights tanked this card.
The first fight kind of sucked too.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, at least Paige Van Zandt's hot.
Well, I think she has so many Instagram followers. It's not because she's a good fighter. Sorry to break your bubble. But
yeah, she hasn't fought in like 2 years.
The first round of this fight, don't get me wrong, the first round of this fight was highly entertaining. That if this fight was just that first round, I'd be happy with it. Jorge Masvidal looking ground to feet, be able to get off the ground really quickly. Usman not be able to hold him down. But rounds 2 to 5 was just Usman hugging Masvidal against the cage and stomping on his toes.
Humping his leg. Hitting him with his shoulder, stomping on his toes.
Come on, man.
It's not the funnest, it's not the most fun style of fighting to watch. But,
it's a hard thing because I have to respect Usman for the amount of talent he has. You can't deny that he's one of the most talented fighters in the UFC right now, but he's just not fun to watch. And I don't mean to sound like a casual, but
it's a double-sided coin, right? I mean, I don't really think we're casuals for not enjoying the way that he fights. I mean, this is the entertainment business. Like, you're here to put on a show, kind of. I understand it is a competition too, but you're getting paid not just for how you do out there, like in terms of like, I mean, take Conor McGregor, for example, take Sugar Sean, take Jorge Masvidal now, like all these guys, Ben Askren,
The entertainers, man.
if you can bring up your entertainment value, you bring up your ability to earn more, your earning power. And Kamaru Usman is, I mean, he's the champ, so he's going to get what he wants. So that's kind of the reason why he's gonna fight like this until someone forces him not to. That's why I think Gilbert Burns is probably the most interesting fight for him right now, because that's the only fight that we really can say, man, it's whoever shows up on that day.
See, with that though, especially Gilbert Burns,
everyone else, it's like, Kamaru.
It's one of the things that's weird about this is that Kamaru Usman dominating this fight it's hard to say dominated. He decisively controlled this fight for 4 rounds, but the man that retained his championship, it came out looking worse than a man that lost 4 rounds to 1 in a title fight. That's insane.
That's fist fights for you though sometimes in the UFC.
Right.
I mean, look at the Rose Namajunas fight. She won, but she looked not as good as Andrade, And that's how certain people have to fight.
It's weird. And this Usman being here's my take on another take on Usman. Usman being welterweight champion is bad for Dana White. Dana White is desperately looking for someone to beat Kamaru Usman. If they put Burns against him, what they should, because it's not like he lost a fight to lose number 1 contender spot. He caught COVID. That's just what it is. He's still number 1 contender. He's not going to he shouldn't get knocked down just because he got sick or whatever. Whoever Kamaru Usman fights next, Dana White is going to be begging for them to knock him off. They're going to be begging for a new champion so he could actually sell and promote the welterweight division. How are you going to have a BMF belt, this one-off, a lot of people call it toy fake championship? How is that going to have more prestige? And it was just made in November of last year. How is that title going to have more prestige than the welterweight title currently has? That's my biggest beef with this whole thing.
Hey, we all know Kamaru Usman is not the baddest MFer.
Oh, hell no. That's why when he was kept on track. So in this fight, yeah, Blake, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm getting a little my soapbox here real quick. This whole lead up to this fight, Kamaru Usman is just bugging Dana White to put the BMF belt title on the line. And I know it didn't end up being on the line, but even if it was, you're not the baddest MFer if you're just going to hug and hump legs and stomp on toes. What are you doing?
You're the most boring. Like you are you're the BMF. You're the BMF. You're the most boring mother effer.
Oh, good one, Blake. I'd rather watch Curtis Blades because at least he goes for a finish when he's on the ground sometimes.
Yeah.
Damn.
There's a possibility.
Usman, dude, I don't mean to sound like a casual, but you gotta sell yourself better than what you're doing here. It's not working. But there's my soapbox, Blake.
I loved it.
Thank you. I got into a very passionate discussion with one of my buddies last night to kind of get the juices flowing for this, and that was kind of my main point. So there you go. Okay.
I loved it.
Let's talk about what's next for the welterweight division. Obviously, my 2 cents is that we do Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns because he's still number 1 contender, like I said. Put that, and then because that's a great matchup. That's a really interesting matchup. Honestly, it's a better matchup than Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman.
Potentially, yeah.
And what I say besides that is I'll go with this, Blake. We do Colby Covington, who, if he didn't get his jaw broken in that 5th round, and it went the distance, he was going to be Kamaru Usman. He would have been the new welterweight champion. We put him against a man that is on like an 8-fight winning streak, a man that deserves a lot more respect than he's currently been giving.
Just been lurking in the shadows in the UK.
Right, being stuck there, I guess, where this fight was rumored when UFC London first went under. But we do Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards for the number 1 contender spot.
Those are 2 good ideas. I really like the first one. However, I do have one monkey wrench to throw in your plans.
I think I know what you're going to say, but give me that wrench.
Colby does need a fight, but I just think there's a little more juice between him and Tyron. Let's figure that out. Let's figure that out. Let's see if they can get that going. And there's also some juice behind this fight that I'm about to mention right here.
Okay, give it to
me. And if you can remember, there's a certain combination meal.
That combo meal.
That may have been referenced, in this exchange.
Yeah.
Maybe being a 3-piece and soda, possibly.
Okay, yeah.
Jorge Masvidal is the owner of the restaurant that served Mr. Leon Edwards this 3-piece and a soda. And I think Leon Edwards would like to go get complain to the manager and say, that's kind of some dog shit.
Okay, so you're turning Leon Edwards, who is a badass, into Karen. Great job, Blake. You're awful at promoting.
Dude, I'm just painting. I'm feeling like I'm doing a good job painting the picture here.
No, I was just giving you crap. That's a good one. That's a good lead up, Blake. Good job, dude. On that phenomenal fight.
Dude,
yeah.
They have some beef, bro. You know me. I'm an emotional guy, so to say, especially when I play Rocket League. I like to sling some insults every now and then.
Of course.
Let's get these guys in here that genuinely don't like each other. Because Jorge Masvidal and Usman, yeah, whatever, and they didn't like each other. Okay, they had a little dust up at Super Bowl Media Row. Okay. Dude, Tyron Woodley and Colby have been going at each other for years. Freaking Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards literally got into a fight backstage. Like, let's go. It sells itself.
He's so good.
Put them all on the same card. That'd be freaking hilarious.
Just give me an all welterweight
Lock
card.
them all in a room together for like 10 minutes. See who comes out alive.
Give me an all welterweight main card with Nate Diaz in Jorge Masvidal for a BMF rematch.
That's another possibility too that hasn't even been thrown out is Jorge versus Nate.
Hell, Nate is having a great time because he could still fight. And it's either going to be a rematch for the BMF or he's going to do the trilogy fight with Conor. I
think the Conor fight should be the next for Nate.
Either way,
considering how everything's kind of in limbo for Conor in the lightweight division right now.
And then we do Stephen Thompson against let's just throw a name in there. Damian Maia. Yep, let's do that. There's 5 fights right there, all the welterweights. Let's just make a main card out of that on Fight Island. There you go. That's my pitch. Dude, but
the welterweight tournament.
That'd be so saucy.
The welterweight Grand Prix.
Honestly, I would love to see a Grand Prix in UFC.
That'd be fire.
Yeah, no, that would be absolutely nutty. But let's talk about the Covington and Tyron Woodley fight. A lot of beef behind that. And imagine what we hear from Covington if he's the one that retires Tyron Woodley.
Oh, dude.
Oh, my.
3 L from going to champ to 3 consecutive L's
with your last fight being against the man that
irks you the most. Oh. Yeah. Oh, man. That would be like Shakespearean. I don't even know, man. That would just be.
Is that too perfect of a thing to happen?
I just don't know if the MMA gods are going to allow us to have that.
They still need to make up for no Khabib and Ferguson. So they owe us. They owe us one. The MMA gods are in debt to us. So let's have Colby Covington retire Tyron Woodley.
Oh, that would be so good. Get his ass off TMZ.
Oh my gosh, that'd be phenomenal. But man, let's hope the welterweight. Here we go, Blake. You and me. All respect to Sean Shelby. We don't have to take his job, but let's just work with him because we could revolutionize the UFC. Dana White, my phone number. You know my phone number. I already gave it to you, man. Just give me a call. I'm good anytime. I know you're up at like 3 a.m. I'll be up. Call me, Dana.
Yeah, you can just reach out to my manager.
Is Ollie?
No, it's actually my mom.
Oh boy. But man, as a whole, I know the last 2 fights were disappointing, but as a whole, I was very entertained. Even though this was one of the longest main cards in UFC history, with this being 3 hours and 11 minutes long, it did feel like it took a while, but I was entertained. Piotr Jan is legit. The featherweights, there's a lot to do. The welterweights, there's a lot to do. So it's still, and then we have so many great fights coming up, man. And I'll say this every time I talk UFC, I always have to say that this is an amazing time to be a fan.
Always, dude. This is the best time ever, man. This is the best time ever to be a fan of the UFC.
And before we end this, I just want to sadly say congrats to Jalen Johnson for becoming the new Suck My Pick title champion. I had my my one successful defense. And, it is what it is. I sucked in the prelims, and I killed in the main card, 5-0 on the main card, but 0-4 in the prelims. And you know what? End of the day, that's just not good enough. I have to go back to the drawing boards. I have to go rethink my strategy, go meet with my coaches, maybe make a couple changes to my corner. I would pull a Mike Perry if I had a girlfriend. But, that's just not on the cards right now. But, like I said, back to the drawing board, Blake. And maybe you can become champion one day, too.
You'll be all right. We all know why I didn't win this week, and that's because the judges screwed over Max Holloway.
Yeah, pretty much. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for our breakdown of UFC 251. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure to check us out on www.thefourthandlong.com, where you'll find everything there. We are on Twitter at Fourth Long Radio, Instagram at Fourth Long Radio. Find us everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere, YouTube, anywhere else you get your podcast from. But Blake, UFC correspondent, great job. Phenomenal. Can't wait till Wednesday with Ige and Cater.
Gosh, can't wait for that fight. That's gonna be a good fight.
These next 4 cards are amazing, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. Have a great day, and it's just enjoy being a fan of the UFC.